Thank you, Diane. That was great. We're going to move on now that you've heard about how to research, how to think about paying for your undergraduate degree in California. We're going to move on to, how do we complete the application? So, as mentioned, there are different applications for the different systems, right? The University of California has its own system, Cal State has its own system, the community colleges have their own applications that you'll be using, and the private colleges will have their own individual ones, or they'll use different platforms. So that's always important to see what system or what university you're applying to and what the platform that they are using is going to be. So now we're going to pass it over to Sean, who's going to help us talk about application and admission procedures if you decide to do that 2+2 path.
Good morning. This is Sean from Cal State Long Beach. So I am in the Cal State University system that you've heard mentioned before, and hopefully by now my colleagues have convinced you that a 2+2 program going through community colleges and transferring to a UC or a CSU might be the right choice for you. So I have just a couple quick slides on some things to think about as you're preparing your application. So when you're applying to a community college, as was mentioned, each community college may have their own application, but generally they're going to be requiring those high school transcripts, demonstration of English, and financial support, so a bank statement or something like that, which is pretty common for a lot of institutions when you're, of course, trying to get an I-20 and get a visa. So that's applying to the community college. When you then apply to a four-year university to transfer, it might be a little bit different. So transferring from the community college to one of these other four-year universities, the application process might be a little bit different than if you were to have applied as a freshman and done all 4 years at the same institution. So when you're applying from a community college to a four-year university, you're going to be asked to submit your high school and community college transcript. You're going to be really being asked, and they're going to be looking at how many credits have you completed already at the community college. And you've already heard that at California community colleges, you know that your classes are going to transfer to UC and CSU and maybe even some private schools as well. But the number of credits may be important to certain campuses. And they're also going to be looking at general education. They're going to be looking at, for example, in the CSU, we have a number of different categories for general education, and they're going to look to see if you have satisfied those. The good news is if you're coming from a California community college, then they already know what that is, and they're, of course, very good at preparing students to meet all of those general education requirements to come in. But there may also be some major specific requirements, prerequisites. So these are classes that you want to take during your first 2 years when you're in community college that's going to help you get into the major that you want. And depending on the campus and depending on how we use a word here in California, impacted. It means how essentially popular that campus is, how many applications they're getting based on how many seats they actually have. My own campus, Cal State Long Beach, is heavily impacted. We're a very popular campus. In fact, we're one of the top campuses in America for transfer applications. We're a very popular destination for transfer students. So our majors like business and engineering, they want to see that you've already taken some certain classes during your first 2 years in community college in order to help you be accepted, to get a better score on the eligibility index. And the other thing to keep in mind is that depending on the campus, and the Cal State campuses, many of them will require a supplementary application. And what that means is you're in community college, you're applying to transfer to a UC or a CSU or even a private school, and you might be asked to do a second application to sort of talk about what classes you're currently taking. So, for example, in the Cal State University application, you only put in the classes you've already completed when you applied. And then you are invited, if you've met all the minimum requirements, to do a supplementary application where you talk about the classes that you're currently taking and you don't have the grades for yet. Now, my colleagues in the UC have informed me that in their application, it's all in the single application, the classes that you've taken already and the classes that you're currently taking. So that's one important difference there. So it's always good when transferring to apply as early as you can, so that you've got time to, for the CSU at least, to do that supplementary application, that second application. So here's just a quick screenshot of what the application to the UC looks like. There, as already been mentioned a couple times, there's one application for all of the UC campuses. And as was mentioned, it's a holistic application. So you see there's a lot of different categories in there, including personal insight and other places where you can demonstrate the sort of extracurricular and other things that you have that set you apart as a candidate. And that's that website there. And then for the Cal State, also just one application for all 23 campuses. That's the website there. It is important to note, though, that even though there's only one application for UC and one application for CSU, campus by campus might have different deadlines, different programs they offer. So, for example, if you log into Cal State edu apply and look for my campus, if you haven't taken a certain number of credits, you might not see Long Beach listed as an option to apply for. So if you don't see the campus that you want, you might want to reach out to them and find out why it's not showing up for you when you create your account. So even though it's one application, it may be different campus by campus in terms of requirement and whether it's available. Also keep in mind that not all campuses take students in the spring. So if you're looking to transfer in the spring, that's no problem at my campus, but at other campuses, they may not be open, or at least certain majors might not be open both fall and spring. So it's one application, but don't be surprised if in certain situations you don't see all the campuses listed on these websites. So I want to leave you with some important questions to think about as you are looking at these schools and deciding where you want to go. First off, you want to know, does your dream university, where you're trying to go after you finish community college, do they only accept upper division transfer? Now that phrase, upper division transfer, really just means you're coming in as a junior. You're coming in as a third-year student. At my own campus, Cal State Long Beach, we only accept upper division transfers. That means you must have completed 60 semester credits or 90 quarter credits in order to transfer to our campus. If you have fewer than 60 credits, you can't apply as a transfer student. We do not accept lower division transfers. That is sophomore students. Now, some campuses might. Some of the smaller campuses or some of the campuses that are not as full, they might take students who have fewer than 60 or fewer than 60 semester or fewer than 90 quarter credits. So you need to look at your school that you want to get to and see what is the minimum number of credits you need to have to apply as a transfer student. Second, does your dream degree program, the program you want to go to, have any specific prerequisites you must take before transferring? So for example, at my own campus, business, you would really want to make sure you've taken microeconomics, macroeconomics, business statistics. Some of these classes are required and some of them are heavily recommended. So you want to make sure you know where you want to go so that during your 2 years when you're in the California Community College, you're taking the classes that are going to help you get into those other campuses. Fortunately, at these community colleges, you do have great advisors who know the answers as well and can help you with this. And then finally, does your dream degree program have any recommended courses? So these are classes that maybe are not required for you to take in the first 2 years, but if you do, at least in the sense of the Cal State system, you're going to be getting sort of extra points, right? So you didn't have to take that business statistics class, but if you did, now you're going to get a higher chance of getting into that program. So sort of talk to your advisors, but really think about where do you want to go? What of the four-year universities do you want to go to? And what are they looking for you to have in your 2 years in the California Community College in order to increase your chances for acceptance? All right, so those are some important questions and just a little bit of information about transferring from a CSE to a CSU, UC, or even private school.